We'll see. I'll keep it a little quiet for now. Until then, a little tease. Catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. There you can get choose views and short versions and long versions with our featured interviews and all the good stuff that we do over there. Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez. The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Out Chicago, and our other shows and interviews. Y'all need to pay attention this weekend. Lots of great stuff's going to be happening. So make your way over to our Heartland Signal digital platform. Today's show is going to be crazy and cool. We will be interviewing in the 6:30 hour. We'll be talking with the mayor of Waterloo, Iowa. Quentin Hart will be with us, and I'm looking forward to chatting with him briefly. And we have a special segment that we've done with Guess Who, Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton this morning. So you guys will want to pay attention to that. And in studio with us in the 7 o'clock hour is our good friend and colleague, Byrne from TruBlu Politics podcast. But for now, check this out, progressives.
The two sides of this fight. Well, politically, we're at a point where Trump, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but as a political figure, he looks sad and small, right? Nobody came to his $45 million military birthday party. He is a laughingstock on the world stage. He's being treated at the G7 right now like he's Putin's intern. The White House just announced tonight that Trump is coming home early from the G7 meeting tonight after so embarrassing himself there today. I mean, this is a president whose signature economic policy, his supposed tariff policy, is a punchline even among Republicans. I mean, someday, 30 years from now, the whole lecture hall full of Econ 101 students is going to laugh out loud when the professor gets out the chalk and writes taco on the chalkboard and has to explain what the acronym TACO meant in the Trump years. For his signature economic policy that he thought would work so well for him, both politically and economically. It is a punchline. I mean, this is a president who appointed a madman to be the nation's health secretary, and who, in turn, he has just put like a QAnon conspiracy chat room in charge of the nation's vaccine schedule. This is a president who is selling coins and gold trinkets with his face on them from the White House. This is a president who can't persuade the first lady to live with him. This is a president whose supposed best friend says he should be impeached, and by the way, is in the Epstein files. I mean, this is a president whose approval ratings are more underwater than any other president ever at this point in his term. He has already rushed right to the part where he tries to turn the military against the civilian population, where he tries to turn the force of the American military against the American people. And that is something that neither the military nor the people have an appetite for, and he is going to learn that soon enough. He has rushed right to the end, because he has no idea how to play cards against opposition to him that is this big, this sustainable, this broad, and this correct. He hasn't done anything as president that would win anyone over to his side. And the number of people who voted for him or supported him otherwise, who are now regretting it, grows by the day. And they don't just grow privately, they grow in the headlines every day. Everybody against him is getting stronger and more confident. Everybody with him is starting to get a little worried about how long they can stay with him as they see their numbers dwindle and they see him fail and flail over and over and over again.
Now, that does not mean we take our eye off the ball. That does not mean that we take our foot off the gas pedal. As I said with Dana Goldberg, we stand up on the gas pedal. That's what it means. We drive a truck through any potential crack, any potential weakness shown by any Republican, period, at any level, local, state, regional, and certainly on a federal level. We drive a Mack truck. Let me back up. We drive a semi-truck through there. I don't want to. Henry's like, hey, you drive a semi-truck through there. You drive a dump truck through it. That's what we have to do. I believe strongly that the fight that so many people this week have talked about, that have been guests, and even if they were talking about something that was not, they weren't a direct fighter person, they still said we have to fight. Every person that we've had on this week has, in their own way, said that. Dr. Lauren Wood from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation said it. Mike Nellis said it. Wisconsin State Rep Kelda Royce definitely said it. Jamal Cole, in the work that he does here in the city of Chicago specifically, said it, that we have to stay, we have to stay imagined. Kurt Mullett says it all the time. Kate Lincoln Goldfinch, she's elbows deep in it. Darren Parker from Impulse Group, he said it. Dana said it. Kristen Krall said it. So that should tell you something. In their own way, everybody in their own part of the lane is saying that one of the things that we have to remind ourselves that we have in common is the power of connection and being connected. And that's what last weekend's rallies all over the country and then some other places of the world outside of the United States made clear. We have to stay connected. That's the part that scares the hell out of them because they want to divide us. They want to divide us. And we are not going to let that happen. I know there's folks out there that listen to my show, that listen to our station and our other shows and other progressive voices, and they're like, yeah, but. Okay, fine. If that's where you want to be in this, then go put your head in the sand. Let somebody else step to the forefront and be ready to fight. I'm just not built that way. And I don't want you guys to allow yourselves to think that you're built in a way that says we're going to just roll over. Yeah, we're going to roll over. We're going to roll over with our proverbial tanks and our dump trucks. That's what we have to do, guys. And as best I can, I have to speak to that because it's what's inside of me. It is what I believe. And I hope you guys are with me in that. So what Rachel said is spot on. His numbers stink across the board. That does not mean we get to take our eye off the ball and does not mean we get to take our feet off the proverbial gas pedal. Stand up on that bad boy. I mean, put your foot through the floor of the car right now when it comes to the energy and the things that you need to do to stay in this fight. I will say this. I've got some things I want to go through. Hopefully, with our time today, we'll be able to get through some of the current events that I want to talk about. And we have some great clips that Henry and I put together. But the one thing I want to say about the situation with Iran, it's dangerous as hell. This is not a situation that we get to be casual about it, which is why this knucklehead chaotic mess in the White House is by all means the wrong person to be there. Do y'all know that? And this just goes to show his ineptitude. Picking Hegseth, they're working around him in this conversation around Iran. But let me just make this one quick point. This Iran situation is a wag the dog on steroids. Netanyahu needed to launch those missiles because they keep telling us that Iran, he's been saying that for 30 years, 20 for sure. We have to stop Iran because he's been saying that for a couple of decades. And we just I can't use the words I want to use. We just keep nursing on it. How about that? That keeps it clean enough, Henry. Is that all right? We do. We just keep nursing on it. And people in the United States have bought into it and other folks in the world, frankly. And so this is his wag the dog. This is his distraction, meaning Netanyahu's, based on what's happening in the Middle East, specifically what's happening with Gaza. Okay, we need to attack somebody because we're threatened. Okay, Iran ain't playing. Listen, that's why they're having this conversation about B-2 bombers, dropping this whatever mother of all bombs or whatever the hell it is, et cetera, the bunker busters. I want to get it right. That's not my speciality, but at least I want to use the right terminology. Here's the thing, y'all. It's a distraction for Trump right now because his numbers suck, just like he does. And every area that he said he was going to help people in, I'm not talking about the uber wealthy folk. I'm talking about the everyday folk that he said that he was going to help, and how so many pundits now are saying the Democrats didn't talk to these people. Yeah, we did. Kamala Harris said to the country, to the world, if he gets in office, this is what he was going to do. He would be inept and incapable of running the business of the government for the broad spectrum of people in the United States. That's proven itself out in 100 days plus. Okay? So with all that awfulness, Now he's got to create a reason to go to war, a reason to send in troops, a reason to use. But everybody was whining and moaning about us trying to help out Ukraine. But this is going to let me be perfectly clear. From all the military experts that I've been reading and following, this situation could put our military men and women's lives at risk in the blink of an eye, because Iran is not playing, y'all. They kind of want to be left alone. I don't need to. If any global, war scholars want to call in and get in my, grill about it, fine. But Iran wants to essentially be left alone. And if the United States decides to open up its arsenal and go after Iran with this bunker buster bomb and all the other things that they're talking about doing, it's a distraction, first and foremost. Let's be honest. It's a distraction. Donald Trump wants to be able to say, like George Bush did in some ways, that he's a wartime president, that he's a peacekeeping president, because so many people in America are so damn unplugged in. I almost said the S word, but I'm not going to. But they're so unplugged in, Henry, that they will think that the president is being commander in chief by, putting our arsenal into play. Meanwhile, your groceries ain't gone down. Your gas is still up. Housing is still an issue, and the list goes on. So I've said this before. I'll say it again. MAGA and GOP, this is on you all. This is in your lap. It's a distraction. His numbers, his polls, all those areas stink. And this is a distraction that he needs to get people to be thinking about. I mean, and who in the hell is at a press conference and says, well, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. I may do it. I may not do it. Excuse me? With our military might, you're not quite sure? Maybe the best thing to do is just to shut up and not say anything at all. But he can't help himself. All right, blew through this break. Sorry, guys. The number, of course, here is 77, Henry's just smiling, 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views on the Credo mobile phone and text line. We'll be right back.
Imagine having all the money you need for retirement, all the income, every month, guaranteed. That's Secure Future Investor. Secure Future utilizes an indexed annuity tied to growth in the U.S. stock market, but without any risk of loss ever. That's right. No matter what happens in the market, your investment can never decline. Down years, you're insured against any losses. Boom years, your retirement account grows exponentially to increase your worth. Whether the market is up or down, Secure Future Investor can set you up with guaranteed money for life income. It's the difference between thinking you have enough money to retire and knowing you're getting that retirement check every single month for the rest of your life, no matter how long you live. Over 40 years old? Call now. 888-509-2228. 888-509-2228. Sponsored by GP Agency, Inc., Raleigh, North Carolina. Licensed in all states. Performance may vary. Consult with your financial professional before making an investment decision.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
It's Choose View with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views. Today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito will be taking your calls for the first hour of the show and talking to Craig Bodakowski of Mark Drugs and Darlene Dugan, I should say. Apologize for that, Darlene. Head of Anti-Cruelty for WCPT's Pet of the Month segment. That's right. Mother Jones, reporter Isabella Diaz, and Jess Sturgis, program manager for advocacy and campaigns for Planned Parenthood Illinois Action, along with Grace Hosey, co-president of Planned Parenthood Gen Action at University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, on the recent disbanding of Planned Parenthood group and more. So there you go, guys. Live, Local, and Progressive. Weekdays 2 to 5 here on WCPT, Chicago's progressive talk for 20 years. Tonight on Driving It Home, Out Chicago host Scott Duff. Go get him, Scott. Will be filling in for Patty. He'll be in the chair this evening. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, a.k.a. Scott Duff, today. Weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. WCPT, Heartland Signal website. Tune in, YouTube, and Facebook. Monday's show, I'll be joined by our good friend Sarah Jones, managing editor and co-publisher of Politicus USA, and Caitlin Cash, an Austin, Texas mother who joined other plaintiffs in the 2023 Zorowski versus Texas lawsuit. You'll want to tune into that segment. We'll definitely be talking about it. And of course, Credo mobile phone and text line. That's where we are. Listen to WCPT's exclusive live broadcast of the Chicago Pride Parade, sponsored by Credo Mobile, Sunday, June 29th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. Yeah, that's where we'll be, on a float, giving out stuff, hanging out with everybody. That'll be fun. Okay, let's see, Henry. Let's hit them with a couple of Choose Views news items to keep you guys up to speed on a few things that are happening. The Fed leaves rates on hold again. The Federal Reserve left interest rates unchanged for a fourth time this week, but raised its median estimate for inflation this year in the face of tariffs. The central bank, which left its key borrowing rate at 4.25% and 5%, has said it's waiting to see the impact of levies before resuming rate cuts that began last year. And it continues to project 2 more rate reductions, but now it foresees inflation by 3% by the end of 2025, up from 2.7%, and has lowered its growth forecast to 1.4% from 1.7%. One goes up, the other goes down. Shipping costs soar in the Middle East. The price of shipping insurance for the Persian Gulf has risen 60% in response to the conflict between Israel and Iran. This gets back to what I was saying earlier about the craziness of this. With a smaller increase in the Red Sea, according to CNBC reports, insurers are now charging 0.02% of a ship's value, up from 0.0125% before the hostilities began. In other words, we saw this coming. Some ships have chosen to avoid the Straits of Hormuz between Iran and Oman, a key route through which one-fifth, y'all, of the world's oil passes. And the problem with that is prices will go up because the cost is going to increase, and the shipping cost is going to increase. Credit cards are banking on big spenders, and this is an interesting portionality of the economy. Credit card companies are relying on America's richest households to drive growth as most Americans are pulling back on spending. JP Morgan Chase raised the annual fee on its Sapphire Reserve card this week. American Express teased some major changes could be coming to its Platinum card that will reportedly come with an increased annual fee. The news reflects a stark new reality. The wealthiest, now check this out, guys, the wealthiest 10% of U.S. households, those who earn over $250,000 annually, now make up half of the nation's consumer spending. The problem with that is, this is where dumb companies and those who follow the president don't get it, and Stephanie Rule talks about this, we may be able to get to this clip, is that if there is let's just say there is a 10% shift that goes down to, let's say, 9% of U.S. households, or goes down to 8% of the 10% of the wealthiest households. If that were to happen, where do you think those costs are going to get pushed to? The other 92% of Americans in the economy, which means that prices will go up on the goods and services. Juneteenth hit by a DEI pullback. Yesterday's Juneteenth national holiday, marking the date of the 1865, when the last enslaved Americans learned they'd been freed by the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation 2 years earlier. The celebration been quieter this year as companies scale back their DEI programs amid political and financial pressures, according to the Associated Press. More than a dozen corporate sponsors backed out of Denver's, yet alone, Juneteenth musical festival, said the event's leaders, while a major San Diego celebration lost $25,000 in federal funding. All because Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, and all the rest of these mediocre dudes and some women got a problem with the room not being with people that don't look like them. if y'all can't tell the frustration in my voice about it, but also the inspiration of us being able to fight back on these punks. You guys know on Friday I don't hold back. I don't hold back anytime, but particularly on Fridays. Because I want to leave you guys with some energy for the weekend. I want you to walk away and go, all right, it's weekend time. I got to deal with my cousins and my family and my colleagues and all these other knuckleheads who are going to be talking stupid. So I got to be ready. So I want to give you guys a little push to get out there this weekend and deal with folks that you got to deal with. And speaking of getting out there and doing stuff, Henry, hey, it's Pride Weekend here in Chicago. We got a Pride Fest. Got lots of things happening in and around the city of Chicago. Those of you who are in other markets, if your community is celebrating Pride, if your community did celebrate Juneteenth, make sure this weekend you get out and about. Here in Chicago, there's going to be so many things to do. Make your way to the Art Institute of Chicago. Some great new exhibits. Millennium Park. Check out the exercise in the park is cool. Get some steps in by doing the Chicago River Walk. Lincoln Park Zoo is going to be very active this weekend. The Shedd Aquarium, Museum of Science and Industry. The Chicago Cultural Center is always a good spot to go because there's a lot of free events there as well. The one thing I will say to everybody, if you're going to be out and about this weekend, make sure you stay hydrated. Starting in about 3 hours, the temperature is going to really rise steadily. And yeah, it's the first weekend of summer, official based on the calendar. So make sure that when you guys get out and about this weekend, you got water. If you're going to be on the road, just, raise the hood before you head out. If you're going to be on a long road trip, make sure that the car is hydrated. Check those tires, all those things that can make a trip pleasant rather than a pain in the behind. And make sure you check your own system, meaning, your house. Check the air conditioner. Just do all those common sense things, guys. I know I sometimes come at you like Uncle Richard, but I just want everybody to enjoy their weekends. And when it gets hot like this in Chicago or other areas of the Midwest, it happens so suddenly. We go from 70 to 90 in a blink of an eye. So just be mindful of that, guys, and enjoy it. Have a good, safe weekend. All right. There you go. Some things to do and things to think about wherever you are, but certainly if you're specifically here in the city of Chicago. And we'll keep reminding you of that as the days go by, because we're officially here in the summer. All right, Henry, there you go. A little bit of Choose Views news, a little bit of what's happening, things to do, where to go, how to get out and about and try to enjoy yourself as best you possibly can. Somebody didn't put their phone on silent. That's Henry. It's not me. Never me. No, guys, sorry about that. All right. The number is always a 773-763-9278. That's the Credo mobile phone and text line. We want you guys to give us a holler. If you got something to say, got some questions, we'll open up the phone lines. When we come back, we are going to have the opportunity and pleasure of speaking with the mayor of Waterloo, Iowa, Mayor Quentin M. Hart. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Celebrate the culmination of Pride Month in Chicago by attending the Chicago Pride Parade, a celebration of love and unity on Sunday, June 29th. This year's theme, United in Pride, highlights the power of coming together, embracing our diversity, and championing love and equality as one united force. Together, we are unstoppable. You can watch anywhere along the route, from Broadway and Grace to Diversey and Sheridan. For more information, visit pridechicago.org and make sure to keep your eyes out for the WCPT float. If you can't attend the parade in person, you can listen live as Scott Duff and Ellen Miller describe all the excitement on WCPT 820 on Sunday, June 29th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The WCPT live parade broadcast is sponsored by the Center in Halstead and by Credo Mobile, a progressive phone company that is better for all people and the planet. Visit credomobile.com. WCPT 820, your Pride station in Chicago.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. An extreme heat warning will go into effect here late Saturday morning. We'll see a few scattered showers at times here for today with cloudy skies and a high into the mid-80s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 30. Tonight, mostly clear skies develop below near 74. By Saturday, sunshine breezy high around 94. Sunday, sunny high of 95. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 71.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
You're listening to Choose View with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, progressives, welcome back to the show. Shout out to one of our listeners, Lois, who's making a trek to visit her mom in New York. Travel safely, Lois, and shout out to your mom and all that good stuff. So travel safely. All right, guys. We have the luxury and sometimes just the blessing, not sometimes, all the time, the blessing to talk to some really, really cool folks and that are out there doing the work and making things happen. And I will say this young man with us this morning is one of the attendees and part of the United States Conference of Mayors conference that's going on. And that would be none other than the mayor of Waterloo, Iowa, Quentin Hart. Good morning, Mayor Hart, and welcome to Choose Views.
Good morning. And the honor is all mine, so I'm thankful so much for allowing me to share this space with you this morning, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. Man, they said, hey, listen, the mayor of Waterloo, Iowa is available, and we definitely should be talking with him because one of the things that I've really been pushing, Mayor Hart, is how important it is for us to have our local leaders connected. And you guys do a great job as mayors in different cities throughout the country, small, medium, and large. And you've been one of those champions. And Waterloo, Iowa is, I'm sure, grateful to have you as their leader and doing the work that you've been doing. And just introduce yourself to our audience and the folks that want to know a little bit more about, our neighboring state and one of the great cities in the state of Iowa.
Thank you. As was mentioned, Mayor Quentin Hart, born and raised in Waterloo. We are about 4 hours from Chicago, depending upon how fast you drive. What's interesting, though, my parents were both from Mississippi, and they met in Waterloo, Iowa. In the 60s, the first African-Americans came to Waterloo around 1910, 1911 to work on the railroad. And then that northern migration, Waterloo, of course, Chicago as well, was one of the stops on the Chicago Northern Railroad. And so our population is around 70,000, 17% African-American, with a growing Latino, Bosnian, Burmese, Congolese, Marshallese, about every type of diversity you could think about is within our city. So it's not what you think of traditionally, demographic-wise, for an Iowa city. And if you've heard of John Deere, the first gasoline tractor was made in Waterloo, Iowa, when John Deere purchased the Waterloo Gasoline Company over 100-plus years ago. So John Deere is very heavy in Waterloo. Tyson's has the largest pork plant in the entire United States. Theirs is right there in Waterloo as well. So different types of industry and business as well. And entertainment-wise, I don't know if you ever heard of Tracy Spencer, or when it comes to Pulitzer Prize winners, if you've heard of Nicole Hannah-Jones, but she is from Waterloo, Iowa as well.
I got to meet her at the DNC. I sheepishly, admittedly, she was talking to some folks, and I waited until they were done, and I walked up to her. And she was just standing by herself, holding up the wall by herself, and I walked over and introduced myself, and she was incredibly gracious. And in case you all don't know who she is, she's the author of the book, the 1619. So you got a legendary city that a lot of people don't know about. And you know, it's such a what you just described, and I was trying to, like I always say, when I'm listening to a guest, I want to listen and not take notes. But sometimes it's hard not to, because you say something that I think is incredibly important. And you spoke about the diversity of your community. And it is, your community is a representation of what our country really, really, really is. When folks who don't, when folks who might be mediocre or less willing to allow that beauty to just shine, Waterloo is an example of how our country certainly should be. I think it is that way, and the current political climate on a national level is working really hard to not let that beauty shine. But you, as a leader in Waterloo, have made it your purpose to continue to build and show the strength of the diversity of your community, and I commend you for that.
Thank you so much. And the Senate file 856 was just signed on May 27th in the state of Iowa, which focuses on eliminating public entities from being able to do anything with diversity, equity, and inclusion. So our democracy, our support for all groups is being threatened every day. So that's been a challenge with our local community as well.
Yeah, but you've done a really great job of making the city attractive for folks to come to. It may not necessarily be on someone's immediate radar of places to go, but it's certainly. Right. But when folks do get there, from everything that I know and have read and have known over the years about Waterloo, it's a place where once folks get there, there's this major wow or oh my God, I didn't realize kind of reaction. Right. So talk a little bit about that for a moment.
Well, it's incredible. A city our size, we have the number 2 rated theme park. Water park.
Yeah.
In the United States, one of the top 10 all times every year around the country, ranked internationally. We just opened up a theme park as well. We have some incredible museum district. We have the largest Haitian art collection in the United States, around the world, right here in Waterloo, Iowa. And we actually work with museums throughout the country to share some of those artifacts as well. Dan Gable, historic wrestler, has a Dan Gable museum, and we have one of 2 John Deere museums in our city across the country. We have a legacy of sports. In the 60s and 70s, we had one of the longest winning streaks for football in the history of this country. So just some really unique attributes that people don't necessarily think about when they think of a community. We have a 1619 Freedom School, so there's always the ability to be able to learn and critically think about some of the events and activities that have shaped our nation as well. And it's been a place, our strategic plan for our 2030 vision plan is Waterloo, a community of opportunity. And that is continuing to work to build the same system of support and economy that my parents from Mississippi, who didn't know each other, came to this city in search of opportunity as well. So on multiple fronts, we are trying to create that inclusive community. We'll be the largest community in the state of Iowa to have a municipal fiber system, which we are building right now as we speak. So just trying to recreate our community and build the city of tomorrow by the investments that we're making today.
So one of the questions I'm going to ask you, and it's a how do I want to put it? It's a question about current events, but also aspiration. Right now, I look at a state like Iowa, I look at a city like Waterloo, and I think, okay, what kind of, excuse my language, hell are you guys catching when it comes to some of the decisions being made on a federal level when it comes to programs? And then in the same conversation or question, I would ask you, how are you as a mayor navigating that for the citizens of your community, knowing that a lot of people there are going to be directly, if not indirectly, impacted by some of the changes that the federal government, specifically the Trump administration, are making? How are you navigating that and keeping people forward thinking and forward moving?
Well, one, you always have to keep your head on a swivel, right? This is the era of the bobblehead, right? Because you never know which program is going to be threatened. You take a look at the conversation about the elimination and a budget proposal of CDBG and home funds. That would impact every community throughout America that receives these funds to be able to help repairs on houses, to be able to help with senior citizens that maybe want mobility to live in their homes. And so every week, every day, there's a constant barrage of fights on so many different fronts that we have to always think about how to be creative or how to navigate or how to align with other mayors and other citizens to try to communicate to our federal folks that this will be the impact. You take a look at any of the conversations with regards to SNAP within our local communities and, people eat. That's food, that's support. But it is a constant threat or a constant barrage of, it seems like, decision-making on the whim with people that don't understand the impacts that happen on a local level. Some of the changes to immigration, I am all in support of getting bad people out of here, but we live in Iowa where there is a large amount of people that works for our farmers and our ag economy that because this nation hasn't come together to put forth a clear plan to help people find work here that may come from another country. So it is a whirlwind of turning our heads this way, analyzing these overall impacts. And really quickly, just one, I mentioned the CN Railroad. We have a railroad relocation grant right now. And it is to study moving the rail yard, creating a brand new economy in another portion in our industrial district because there's environmental hazards. It has an impact on that community when you build rail cars right in the middle of a neighborhood. And so we have a good relationship with the railroad, and we have been trying to work towards this grant to study of how to move it, what it would cost. And those threats are always threatened to be taken away. And so it's a constant barrage of us having to focus on what ifs versus what we can do. And then, so how do we deal with that? The Conference of Mayors is one place where we can have a unified voice, and it doesn't make a difference if you're a Republican, Democrat, independent, nonpartisan. It gives an opportunity to bring voice from all of our communities about the impact of these changes. And so our advisory committee, our executive committee, our President Ginther, are all working hard to try to send that unified message. But on the local level, it's communicating regularly with our federal folks. I know our senators, at least for the most part, need to know how this is going to impact their congressional districts. And we regularly communicate. Just this past Tuesday, we had a meeting with our congressional delegation to talk to them about what this means if this impact happens, and also talk about our future structure. So, that's on a federal level, but also on the state level, and some of our states are having challenges too, and with changes in states' mentality, right? Our legislature, and so that's been difficult to navigate. But because people expect results, that's what they want.
And
regardless of what's happening on Sorry.
No. And you've been one to deliver on those results. I mean, that's the thing that so many people in your community and the greater state have recognized about, this great little city of Waterloo is getting things done, and it's because they've got a strong leader in the role, and that being you. So, I mean, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to let our listeners know all over the country that, that's what it takes right now. A grasp of the issues which you have, and the ability to come up with creative solutions to navigate through some of the craziness that's going on right now. So again, I'm a kudos guy. When folks are getting it done, I like to give them the kudos, man. This is how I roll.
Right.
Let me ask you one last question. First of all, we would love to have you back when we've got more time to talk in more depth about certain issues. But I appreciate you taking out some time with us this morning. And we will figure out a way to have you back again. I know the conference has brought a lot of you folks together, mayors of different cities throughout the nation. So I'm thankful that you guys are able to get together and sort of, hash it out. But how can folks find you? I'm a big believer. We got to make sure that folks are connected to our leaders. How can folks find you, whether they're in Chicago, they're in Pennsylvania, they're in San Francisco, or they're in Miami, to be able to be plugged into what you're doing?
It is Quentin Hart, Quentin, Quentin Hart, HART. IA on all social media platforms. That's on X, that's on Instagram, that's on Facebook. But we stay pretty active. We have some formats of radio and television as well. But Quentin Hart IA is a way to connect, or you can just look for the City of Waterloo, Iowa webpage as well.
That's fantastic. I will say this in closing, Mayor Hart. Burmese, Congolese, Marshall Islanders in Waterloo, Iowa. Who knew this comes from? That didn't come from me, man. That came from one of our listeners that sent me a message real time. Burmese, Congolese, Marshall Islanders in Waterloo, Iowa. Who knew?
And that's a short list. That's a short list.
Well, maybe the next time we have you back on, and sooner than later, we can talk a little bit more about what the diversity has meant to your community. So kind of put that little bug out there in your ear, and then we'll connect, and we'll talk about that in more depth when we have you back in the future. Would that be okay?
That would be okay. And blessings to you and all the work that you're doing. I thank you.
Absolutely. It's my joy to be able to do it. Mayor Hart, thank you for being with us. Thank you for the work that you're doing there in Waterloo, and travel safely. I know you guys have a lot going on in these next few weeks, so be safe out there, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for being with us. Bye-bye. Wow. Burmese, Congolese, Marshall Islanders in Waterloo. Who knew? That comes from one of our listeners. Thank you for that. What can I tell you? Folks like this who are getting the work done, they need to be recognized. And thanks to our team here for helping to make that happen, given the mayor's conference is going on right now. So, Mayor Hart is, you can tell he's got a grasp on what's happening and how he feels he needs to continue to work in the way that he does to build his city and keep the citizens that put him in office moving forward. Henry, let's take a quick break. We got some navigating to do and some chess pieces to move around here in terms of things we got going on. So let's take a quick break, guys. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views on the Credo mobile phone and text line. We'll be right back.
Driving it home with Patty Vasquez.
Hold on a second. I'm going to take this on the air. Hey, Steve Lessman, this is Patty Vasquez. We're live on the air. Are you really calling me? Is the sales department calling me live on the air? Hey, Steve. Steve, you're on the air.
Did they make
You've done that to me. You could know Art from WCPT.
Why are they calling you?
I have no idea. He just saw me in the hallway. Come on now.
Patty Vasquez. Weeknights 5 to 7 on WCPT 820.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, guys. Welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. As I'm hearing, we may have another mayor landing with us before the show is over today. So we'll keep you posted on that. So listen, here, before we're going to have a spot with our wonderful Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, which will probably, let's do that in the 7 o'clock hour when Karen's here. Is that cool, Henry? Perfect. All right, that's how we'll make that work, because we have to fit in another mayor that's going to be joining us at 7:30. So there you go. But one of the things that I got a communication on that I wanted to share with you guys is when I made the comment about this this being a distraction, this war, soon to be war, or this attack, if you want to call it that, in Iran is giving a lot of people pause as to where this is going to take us. And we've got this interesting clip that I think when I talked about what Rachel Maddow was saying in her clip about all the failures of Trump, and I said we've got to stay focused and pay attention. It's because there are things that are going on behind the curtain that are happening while we're being distracted by if he's going to send troops, if he's going to launch, meaning Trump, and the list goes on. And so one of the things that I think is missed sometimes is just, how inept this administration is at one thing while being fairly good at the other, which is the distraction. And we have this clip that I thought was kind of cool that was on MSNBC from NBA great, of all people, Glenn Doc Rivers, who was on with Nicole Wallace. And I think you guys will appreciate what the two of them had to say.
Can I say something on the economy, though?
Yeah.
I think it's the greatest marketing coup in the history of marketing on what the Republicans have done. It's proven that under Democratic presidents, the economy is always better.
Always. I know that
better.
having worked for Republicans.
Yeah.
It's always the opposite of what Republicans say.
It's unbelievable. When Obama came into office, the economy was in the trash. He really lifted it up, and Trump adopted that, Right. But what is it, 50 years or whatever, 50 million new votes, new jobs by Democrats, 1 million by Republicans over the last 50 years. It's amazing, but we don't address it. We do the economy well, yet no one hears that. What we probably don't do well, we don't do the rich well. And the super rich, they line up because of the tax cuts that they know they're going to get. But what the Republicans have done that's amazing is the masses don't understand that's not them. They're not included in that. What the Democrats have done includes everybody. What the Republicans have done, really the one percenters.
But Trump is almost like that on steroids, right? Because
yes.
Trump has said to the billionaire, at least in the oil industry, help me out, give me money, and I'll help you specifically. It's almost like that dynamic you just described, plus some corruption on top. And he has more support among sort of people that aspire to be wealthy than all the Republicans that came before him. It's almost like the more audacious the marketing, to use your word, the more support he gets among people whose interests are not served by what he ends up doing.
Yeah. The distraction, and that's more my word, but the distraction on the economy. That's that's always been sort of that. Get the country, get the country to think that the Republicans are great on the economy. The Republicans do better when it comes to serving people and providing them with benefits and all. No, that's a doggone lie. The Democrats have always been the champions of that. Certainly in my lifetime. Let me speak to it that way. The Democrats have always, on all levels, been the party that says, let's not cut into the muscle. Yeah, we need to be efficient, no doubt. That's just good budgeting. But doggone it, you cut into the muscle, that's when you cause harm. And that's what the Republicans are doing right now. And they've been doing it for years. And too many people are too doggone caught up in my four legs of the stool: racism, sexism, Christian nationalism, and privilege to understand that the Republicans are the ones that are coming at you. It's not the Democrats. And right now, this conversation around this war is going to be, when I said this a moment ago when I was going through Choose Views News, the Straits of Hormuz, if Iran decides to shut that down, let me tell y'all something. That's going to cost a lot of people a lot of money. This is the expense of that is immeasurable. It just is. The expense of that is immeasurable because suddenly we are going to have this thing that we're supposed that Trump. One of the things that Trump ran on in terms of the price of gas at the pump, that's going to explode. Do y'all understand that? And again, for those who get upset with me when I say y'all, I'm talking about all of us, but particularly those on the right. Do you understand that that is going to blow apart anything that you would have conceived that Trump was going to be able to do, even though he was lying, about the price of gas? This incursion, this war, this attack with Iran. And again, as I said before, this is Netanyahu's wag the dog, because his numbers in Israel are kind of funky too. So his boy Trump has decided, and I heard this cracked me up, that they were going to get Putin involved to try to negotiate something with Iran. Why? Why? Putin wants to go to war. He attacked Ukraine. So why would you turn to Putin? Oh, I know, because he's Donald is Putin's protege. He's his little lapdog. And there's another word that I'll use, but I don't use it on the air. But it begins with a B, and it ends with the first two letters of my last name, CH. Figure it out, people. But no, seriously, this is an economic. This could be an economic cavern for us. And I've said this so many times. The distraction right now is because Donald Trump's numbers stink. And from what I hear, he does too. But we're also going to be putting our military men and women at risk, because Iran is not, they're not to be, I'm going to say this and it's going to sound a little aggressive. Iran is actually hoping in a weird sort of way, and you can just sort of watch the peripheries of what's going on here. They're kind of hoping that the United States gets involved in this. And I'll tell you what my concern, this is what happened yesterday. I was listening to a couple of generals talk about this from a very military standpoint. They said there's no way we can get involved in this without putting men and women at risk. And the thing that popped into my mind is the proverbial sleeper cell. Okay? How many people who, and when I say that, I mean it, how many people here in the United States that are Iranian citizens that would be PO'd, and I'm not talking about the typical so-called sleeper cell. I'm talking about the people who live here that are Iranian, American Iranians, that would be affected if we were to go this direction. We don't know. And then how many people are here that actually feel like this would be, that would create internal conflict in the United States? I mean, the administration hasn't thought this through. I'm just concerned. I don't know. I'm a little bit of speculation there. I admit that. I'm just saying I'm concerned, and you guys should be too. This is one of those moments where if we're calling our senators about the big ugly bill, then we should be calling the Capitol switchboard about this as well. Do not decide to light up the Middle East by, flying in and dropping bombs and taking our armaments to Iran. Call your senators, call your governors and lieutenant governors, call your AGs, and the Capitol switchboard number is 202-224-3121. All right, guys, we're coming up on the top of the hour. We're going to have some fun this next hour of the show. And I think you guys will appreciate what we're going to do, trying to squeeze a lot in this time frame. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Whoa. More fiber?
What?
Down here, buddy. It's me, your spoon. Constipation with belly pain still coming back?
Yeah.
Talk to your doctor. It could be irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, but Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Join the free smoothie party at Tropical Smoothie Cafe on Saturday, June 21st for National Smoothie Day. Tropic Rewards members get a free smoothie with bowl or food purchase. Terms and conditions apply.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. British lawmakers began a crunch debate on a bill that would help terminally ill adults in their lives in England and Wales. A vote is expected today, with both sides expressing confidence. As things stand, proponents of so-called assisted dying have the edge. AP correspondent Karen Shamas reports on the aftermath of Hurricane Eric in Mexico.
Authorities in southern Mexico were still assessing damage and watching rising rivers as rain from the remnants of Hurricane Eric doused the region. Authorities reported landslides, blocked highways, downed power lines and some flooding. At least one death was confirmed late Thursday, a 1-year-old boy who drowned in a swollen river. Acapulco residents and remaining tourists emerged to walk outside or visit the few open businesses as the remnants of Hurricane Eric scraped by just inland of the resort. Local fisherwoman Ana Luisa Granados told the AP local fishermen were checking boats for damages. The threat of heavy rain remained in the mountains that rise abruptly behind Acapulco's famed beaches. Hurricane Eric spent the day dragging through the coastal mountain range, dropping torrential quantities of rain. I'm Karen Shamas.
Grammy-winning singer Chris Brown pleaded not guilty to the serious beating of a music producer in a London nightclub in 2023. Brown's friend and musician Omololu Akinlolu, who performs under the name Hoodie Baby, pleaded not guilty to the same charge. Prosecutors say the attack was caught on surveillance camera in front of a club full of people. And it's official. All 7 members of the popular K-pop group BTS have completed South Korea's mandatory military service. Rapper Suga was the last of the bandmates to complete his alternative service duties. His official discharge date is Saturday. This is AP News. AP correspondent Ed Donahue reports on trade talks between the U.S. and Canada.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says he will impose new tariffs on U.S. steel and aluminum imports July 21st, depending on the progress of trade talks with President Trump.
President Trump and I agreed to pursue negotiations towards a deal within the coming 30 days.
Carney says the tariffs will be adjusted up or down based on the status of those talks.
We must reinforce our strength at home and safeguard Canadian workers and businesses from the unjust U.S. tariffs.
The Prime Minister says this could set off a global recession, and it's not just because of a trade war.
Actual wars, including wars that can have quite significant implication for commodity prices, global growth, aside from the human cost that comes with them.
Audio from CTV. Canada is the largest foreign supplier of steel, aluminum, and uranium to the U.S. I'm Ed Donahue.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. An extreme heat warning will go into effect here late Saturday morning. We'll see a few scattered showers at times here for today with cloudy skies and a high into the mid-80s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 30. Tonight, mostly clear skies develop, a low near 74. By Saturday, sunshine breezy, high around 94. Sunday, sunny, high of 95. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 72.
Porsche, the name alone exudes class, sends shivers down the spine. Now imagine yourself behind the wheel. Find your new Porsche at the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. Browse and test drive our extensive selection, like the 2025 Porsche Cayenne. And right now, lease the 2025 Macan Electric for only $1049 a month for 39 months. Visit the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park or PorscheExchange.com. $8,900 to assignment. Excludes tax, title, license, and no security deposit required. Expires 6/30/25.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Chew's Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820 AM, where facts matter. Take it away, Richard.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. So I got to do a quick, not so much a cleanup on aisle 7, but the pace of how I said something came out in a way I want to make sure you guys understand. I'm concerned about Iranian citizens in the United States having to deal with the craziness of what Americans could do or want to do if we were to go down this path. So I want to be clear about that, just so you guys know. That's part of what my concern would be because of how we treated other communities when we've gone to quote unquote war or attacked them. Even with Ukrainian Americans were talking about how they were being treated differently once Putin invaded Ukraine. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And the same thing is true with other times when we've stepped into the mess. Let's just look at what's happened in Gaza and how many Palestinian Americans. So Iranian Americans, that would be my concern that to how they might be treated. And with that, I'm going to welcome to the show our good friend Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics Podcast. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, good.
Now, wait, I heard you at the beginning of the show talk about, there's going to be some cool and crazy. Am I the crazy?
No, you're the cool. I'm the crazy.
No, I'm the total crazy. Come
All
on.
right. Well, you want a little bit of both, right? You want to
I do.
split it down the middle.
I do.
Cool.
All right.
See, cool and crazy.
Cool and
you don't have to
crazy.
pick one. You can be a little bit of both.
Okay.
So
I'm here for you.
Cool and crazy. There we go. Cool and crazy on Friday.
Building coalitions.
That's what we do. We have coffee clutches. We have walking groups. We have, podcasts. We have all kinds of things to keep this energy moving forward.
Right. And can I mention a new one that I've added to my plate?
Talk to me.
Okay. The People's Post Alliance Indivisible group that our friend Walter Mitchell has started. And I am helping him and trying to get people involved, some of our people involved out here, that are consumers of the post office and value the post office. And we're calling on some small business owners, all you out there that want to get involved because you will be heavily impacted if they were to privatize this.
Karen, it's such a scary thing that could happen, and scary in the sense of how, again, that's another economic hardship that will be in the laps of regular everyday folk.
That's right.
And that's that's the other part of what Walter was trying to say when he was on with us a couple of Fridays ago. It's not disheartening. It's awakening of the things that this administration and their minion are trying to do. That's why I said pay attention. The Rachel clip talked about all the negative numbers of Trump, but pay attention, y'all. Do not take your feet off the accelerator. The distraction of this situation in Iran is designed to take people away from watching the stuff that they're doing behind the behind the curtain.
Totally agree. Yeah, and I mean we have to. We do have to pay attention. Don't get fooled by the okey doke and looking over there when we should be looking right here, and what they're doing with Project 2025, what they're doing with this situation with Iran. But we do also allow some of the positive in, and we had the demonstrations last weekend were just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the energy down in Chicago, and I've heard this from multiple people throughout the state, throughout the country, that their protests were just the same, where it was fun, it was celebratory, there was music, there was dancing, there was smiling, there was, all of that community and fun that was injected in the very serious mission to send a strong message to Donald Trump and his administration, and more than that, the world, that we aren't taking this lying down, that we are heeding the warnings of the Timothy Schneiders. We are heeding the warnings of all of the people that get out in the streets on a regular basis in these autocratic countries like Hungary, and elsewhere, that we are hearing what you're telling us. We're hearing that this is the time. We need resistance now at levels, and we had something like 5%. And I cannot remember who said it. I was talking to a friend of mine, but I think it was on Jon Stewart. There was somebody on Jon Stewart on Monday, and they were saying that this is now a revolution. When you have 5% of the population in the streets protesting against it, this is a revolution.
Yeah, and once again, mainstream media did everything they could to bend themselves into a pretzel about, how great it might not be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we've got to keep the train moving forward. And Henry, are we good to go with Lieutenant Governor? We had an opportunity to chat with the Lieutenant Governor yesterday afternoon, and we are going to bring you that segment right now. Well, this is Richard Chew with Chew's Views, and we have the opportunity again to speak with our wonderful Lieutenant Governor, Juliana Stratton, here in the state of Illinois. And there is so much going on, as there always is, but I'm so proud to have the Lieutenant Governor with us again. She's got a lot to talk about, but we've also got her limited schedule and busy schedule. But thanks so much, Madam Lieutenant Governor, for being a part of a team, including Governor Pritzker, that's protecting Illinois residents and citizens. You guys have made it clear and unapologetically clear that you are making certain that the citizens and the voters of the state of Illinois are protected and feel a sense of safety and certainty with all that's going on right now coming from the Trump administration. So thank you for that as we start.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Richard. Always glad to talk to you, and thank you for saying that. I mean, Governor Pritzker and I made it clear from day one that we would always stand for our people, and we would always fight for what's right for the people of Illinois. And certainly right now, with the current climate and the chaos that we see coming out of the Donald Trump White House, it's more important than ever that we continue to provide steady leadership, and it's my honor to do so.
Well, we're all so excited for you. Since the last time we talked, and we had the WCPT anniversary, which you were so gracious as to call in and talk with us on, big changes have taken place, and that's the big conversation right now is that you very quickly threw your hat in the ring, and that being for the Senate seat that's going to be vacated by current Senator Dick Durbin. What's your life been like these last few weeks since you made that announcement?
Well, it's been exciting. I mean, number one, I launched my campaign for United States Senate because I saw a need, and I believe that I'm the one to fill that need. And what that need is what I hear from people all across the state when I'm traveling and asking them, what's most important to you right now? What are you looking for from your leaders in Washington? And they say to me, they look me in the eye and say, I'm looking for a fighter, someone who's going to stand up for me, someone who's going to fight back against this administration and defend our rights and deliver for us. And I am happy to be able to look them back in the eye and say, I am that fighter, and I will continue to do what I have done for the last 6.5 years as your lieutenant governor. I will keep fighting for the people of Illinois. And it's not just that, it's also delivering. I mean, look at what we've been able to do. I've been on the show a few times to talk about what we've accomplished here under the Pritzker-Stratton administration. We raised the minimum wage. We passed common sense gun legislation. We have protected the right to an abortion. We have done so much to uplift the communities of Illinois, and I'm really proud of the big coalition that I'm building right now all across the state people who are joining my campaign because they are looking for a fighter. They're looking for someone who knows how to deliver, and I look forward to bringing the blueprint of what we've done in Illinois to Washington, D.C.
And the country's going to benefit from fighters like you and from Governor Pritzker, who are not just not afraid, but emboldened and encouraging by saying, this is what I stand for, this is what I will do, and this is what I won't tolerate. People, and you're out there, doing this every day, and I get this from people that listen to my show and listen to our station. They want that so bad right now, Lieutenant Governor. They, I can't even tell you how. I shouldn't say this because you know this. How passionate people are right now about folks stepping up and fighting. And the three very, very quick examples: Senator Padilla in California, Congresswoman McKeever in New Jersey, if I've got that right, and I just lost my train of thought. Comptroller Lander in New York, all stepping to the mic, all saying this is unacceptable what this administration is perpetrating on the United States of America. And so what you're saying about what your successes have been, those are documented and those are true. And people, not just in Illinois, I can assure you, but people across the country want to see more of that from someone like you and so many other folks that are fighting.
Well, look, Richard, what we're seeing right now is not normal, and we cannot normalize it. And it's important not just that elected officials raise their voices, but everyone mobilizes and protests and lifts up their voices and head to the street to make it clear that we are not going to tolerate this. We're not going to tolerate people being snatched off the streets and being stuffed into cars by masked people who don't have any markings of any official capacity. We're not going to tolerate them stripping away health care for millions of Americans. We're not going to tolerate, rolling back our fundamental rights like we are seeing every single day. And what I want to just say is not only are the people of Illinois demanding it, the people of Illinois are taking to the streets. I mean, we saw what happened on No King's Day recently when millions of Americans took to the streets, including right here in Illinois. I happen to be in Rockford, where I think that they probably were anticipating a few hundred, and we ended up with 2,000 plus in the street. I think the the hands-off protests that have been happening every weekend in not just big cities, but small towns all across the state. So you're right. It's not just those of us who are elected who are raising our voices. The people of Illinois are making it very clear. This is the leadership that we're looking for. We want people to fight just like we are in the streets, raising our voices. It's time out for trying to go along to get along. We have to make sure that there's real courage and leadership in Washington, D.C. Well, and that's what I intend to bring.
Well, and you're bringing it now, and I think this is one of the reasons why your campaign is and will continue to be such a strong one, because you have delivered. And obviously, it's been a team effort between you and Governor Pritzker and other statewide officials, which is what you bring to the table. You won statewide election more than once, and I think that's one of the reasons why you're going to stand head and shoulders. And it's not knocking anybody else that's running, because the great thing about what's happening with this transition is that we have a fantastic bench. We have been labeled as not having anybody in waiting in the wings, and maybe there's some folks that have stayed longer than necessary. I won't say too long, but longer than necessary in this environment. But we got a great bench. I mean, Representative Robin Kelly is a great. She's a great leader, and others that are stepping to the races in terms of the congressional races. All of them are great leaders. All of you guys are, and that's one of the things that I just keep repeating. And I have a smile on my face when I hear you guys talk, because I say, you know what, our folks are leading here in Illinois. You, Mayor Johnson, and the list goes on. So that's something that I hope everybody remains excited about with this upcoming race.
It's a great example of how democracy works. As we yelled in the street at the No Kings March, this is what democracy looks like. I mean, and we see the Trump administration and MAGA extremists who are trying to roll back all the progress and what we've done to protect democracy. They're trying to roll back voting rights. Look, I think about myself as someone who's not the typical politician. I didn't have a plan early on in my life that this is where I would end up. I saw a need, and I knew that I needed to step up to meet that need, and that's how I ran for state rep. You may recall the story that I was caring for my mom. I was her primary caregiver. She had Alzheimer's, and it was hard because I cared for her while being a working mom, had my own career. Plus, I was a mom to daughters, and 3 at the time. And I just think about how hard it was when Bruce Rauner and my former state rep tried to cut senior services and health care for seniors like my mom. And I was angry. I stepped up because I said, you know what? This is unacceptable that you would strip away health care from our most vulnerable. That was 10 years ago, Richard.
Goes by
and
fast.
Here we are in 2025. I've lost my mother since then, and here we are in 2025, and the Trump administration, MAGA extremists, and congressional Republicans are once again stripping away health care from millions and millions of Americans, including 3.4 million Illinoisans who are on Medicaid, who are at risk of potentially losing their health care coverage. That includes 1.5 million children in Illinois, and not to mention all of the people that are employed by hospitals, over 400,000 Illinoisans who are employed by hospitals and health care systems. This is an example of the kind of reckless damage that is happening through the chaos coming out of the White House. We need somebody who's going to be a stopgap, who's willing to jump into the ring and go to the mat fighting for the people of Illinois. And that's what I'm going to do as the next United States Senator.
I oftentimes use a phrase, standing in the void, standing in the doorway. And that's exactly what is needed right now. I ask you a couple quick questions as we keep moving forward and try to stay on point. It's Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth is the phrase. And what does Juneteenth personally and I'll say professionally mean to you? And what has it meant to you over the years?
Well, we know Juneteenth is also known as Freedom Day. And what I think about a lot on a day like today is I think about my ancestors, William and Daniel Stevens, who my great-great-grandfather, William, who was enslaved. And when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, and then, of course, we know that Juneteenth is because everybody didn't know that they were free until that message got to Galveston, Texas. But I think about my ancestors who took a plot of land that was given to them by the man who owned them. And they took that land and they farmed that land and they fed their community and they built a church because they knew faith was important, and they built a store and a school because they knew education was important and economic progress was important. And now we see generations later, their, descendant, me, this black woman on the south side of Chicago who's the first black lieutenant governor of the state of Illinois and now running to be the next United States Senator for the great state of Illinois. The state, by the way, of Abraham Lincoln, who signed that Emancipation Proclamation. Just think about that narrative and what's possible when we really focus on serving our communities the way my great-great-grandfather did. That's the legacy that I have inside of me. It's the legacy of my mother, who was a public school teacher, came from a union household, who taught adult literacy to adults who had never learned how to read. That's the gift that I've taken from my father, who was a Navy veteran, who faced discrimination in his own efforts to serve our country, but who also was a physician in community hospitals, safety net hospitals like Roseland and St. Bernard and Provident on the south side of Chicago, because he understood that access to quality health care for everyone, regardless of your zip code, was so important. That's what's inside of me, and that's what drives me every day, to care for not just my family, but to care for our community, to care for the people of Illinois in the way that they deserve. And that's why I do what I do. And Juneteenth to me means always honor that legacy and recognize that there's still much more work to be done, but we have to also acknowledge the progress that we've made.
I think that's a big part of it, how we go forward. And as we go forward and we wrap up, Lieutenant Governor, again, I thank you for being with us. I look forward to having you back again in a few weeks. How can folks find you? How can they get involved and let you have this last couple of moments just to wrap us up there?
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to people getting involved. They can certainly go to julianastratton.com and find out how to get engaged with my campaign. And, of course, follow me on social media. I look forward to continuing to engage with people, not just online, but I look forward to coming to your community and getting to know you personally, because all across this state we have such fantastic communities and people are raising their voices. To your listeners, I look forward to meeting as many of you as I can and hopefully earning your support.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Stratton, for being with us this morning, this afternoon, this day. Keep strong. We got your back, and we want to keep pushing you and propping you up. So have a great rest of the day.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye-bye. Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton.
She's awesome.
Yes, she is. She's amazing. She really is amazing. And I'm thrilled about, listen, if she doesn't win the Senate seat and she remains as our Lieutenant Governor, she may end up being our governor if J.B. Pritzker runs for president and wins. Yeah, I went there.
Yeah.
Try to stop me.
I'm going there with you.
Yeah, because we've got a great bench. We've got great leaders on our squad. And one of the things that's being perpetrated, two things, Karen. One is that we don't have a bench. The mainstream media keeps repeating that, wash, rinse, repeat. Mm-hmm. What's up with the Dems? Who's their leader? Blah, 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 right. blah. And then when the voices are out there, and there are many of them, mm-hmm. Then it's like, oh, well, this person. And it's largely driven by the mainstream media. Now, granted, I've said for a long time, I want Democratic elected officials to every day be mm-hmm. holding a press conference, yep. Monday through Friday, and twice on Sundays, is whatever the phrase is. That's what I want to see. My wish list is you got 400, you got X number of folks in these halls. Put one up every day, mm-hmm. and doing that makes the mainstream media have to respond differently.
Yeah.
But coming back to Lieutenant Governor Stratton, we've got a bench. Mm-hmm. We've got a really strong bench, and I want to see more and more of our bench out there. I don't know if you caught the clip we played yesterday of Representative Carbajal when he was not having it from Pete Hegseth.
Oh, God. All of the Dems that were questioning him were on point.
So, Henry, do we have time to play that segment, Dems giving it to Besant? Check this out, you guys. Because I know we have another there coming up. There it is. Play this one, guys. Check this out.
Ma'am, that's incorrect.
I've seen you interrupt everyone. When you come to someone's house, you respect their rules.
Reclaim my time. So that's simple answer, simple question. Will you support an amendment that makes sure that people making $30,000 a year don't pay more?
I will support working Americans.
Let me go on, because I know you're not really answering that question.
What are we spending for? Are we
tax cuts that mostly go to billionaires such as yourself? While throwing 16 million people off their health care coverage.
Well, I would dispute that 16 million. I think you're conflating a lot of numbers.
No, it's excuse me, reclaiming my time. Those aren't my numbers. Just to be clear, as you know, it's the Congressional Budget Office projection.
I think you're adding up a lot of numbers that shouldn't be added.
Excuse me, I am adding two specific numbers. The cuts CBO found coming to Medicaid. No, if we're entitled to our own opinions, but not our own facts and not our own numbers.
Two things, Congressman.
Yes or no?
We had a referendum on November 5th, and working Americans
yes
voted for president.
Reclaiming my time.
And
reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman.
Two,
Mr. Chairman, I'm reclaiming my time.
And two.
So, Mr. Secretary, it's my time, Mr. Secretary.
And in fact, we've already seen that prices are rising on many everyday goods.
Congresswoman,
please don't interrupt me. The time is mine. The time is mine. Please don't interrupt me. I will ask you questions and I will grant you an opportunity to answer them, but please don't interrupt me during my time.
With pleasure.
Okay, I know I'm a woman, but please try to limit yourself to answering my questions. No, I'm sorry, but we get talked over all the time, and I don't want that to happen at this hearing.
Additionally, we have seen since January 20th that the stock market overall has gone down, 1.3%, and gas has gone up.
Ma'am, that's incorrect.
Excuse me. Let me get something straight with you first here. I've seen you interrupt everyone. When you come to someone's house, you respect their rules. And in this house, we don't interrupt individuals. And you're not going to interrupt my time. I'm going to give you time to respond. You may want to jot down some notes about things that you don't agree with me on so that you can respond to them at that time. But while I'm speaking, as the person holding this time, you will refrain from speaking, sir, until I am done, and then I will give you time to speak, okay?
Look forward to facts.
Thank you. I'll look forward to your response, whether they're factual or incorrect either.
He just can't help himself.
No, he cannot.
He can't. It's shameful. It is really shameful that number of people, women and men, ethnicity and not, had to get in his backside about not interrupting and or answering the question. So when I talked earlier, and then we got to go to a break, about our bench, that's our bench, guys.
Our bench.
We've got people that are tired, and we got to keep supporting and pushing and giving them the encouragement they need to keep doing what we just heard.
And their bench is knuckleheads like that.
Bingo. All right, guys. I love that, Karen. All right, we're going to take a quick break. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Hi, my dad founded Chicago Community Acupuncture.
My dad did too.
That's because we're sisters.
Yeah, but it's true.
You know, acupuncture has helped billions of people, but some people are still afraid of it.
Why?
They're afraid it'll hurt, or that it won't do anything to help them.
That's silly. We get acupuncture all the time, and it's like less than a mosquito bite. And everyone knows that acupuncture can help a bunch of different problems.
Not everyone knows that.
Someone should tell them.
I think you just did.
So if you'd like to experience top quality acupuncture at half the price of other places, come visit us at Chicago Community Acupuncture at Milwaukee, Devon, and Nagel. Call 773-853-0920, 773-853-0920, or our website, Chi-Com Acu.
Chicomacu.
CHICOMACU.com.
Or CHICOMACU.com. Chicomacu.
Either way, we'd love to help you. Start feeling better today.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-708-3091. 800-708-3091. 800-708-3091. That's 800-708-3091.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. An extreme heat warning will go into effect here late Saturday morning. We'll see a few scattered showers at times here for today with cloudy skies and a high into the mid-80s. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 30. Tonight, mostly clear skies develop, a low near 74. By Saturday, sunshine breezy, high around 94. Sunday, sunny, high of 95. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 72.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, Progressives, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Man, I tell you, we got mayors that are getting it done with their little fun conference and out there, connecting and doing all this kind of, mayor stuff and making sure that everybody is plugged in and that you're talking about things. And we were so blessed to have Mayor Quentin Hart on with us earlier in the show. And now right here locally, Nathaniel George Booker, also known as the mayor of the village of Maywood, Illinois. Good morning, sir. Welcome to Choose Views.
Good morning, Andy. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's good to be with you this morning. And I had, what was I going to tell you? When you may have been listening earlier, we had Mayor Quentin Hart on from Waterloo. And he said to me, I was just, so thankful to have him on the show. And he said to me, he said, Richard, listen, it's an honor to be on our show. And I went, no, it's an honor to have you on the show. So we had a little bit of back and forth. But either way, Mayor Booker, thank you for being with us this morning. I know it's been a busy couple of days for you guys. What's been one of your biggest pluses from this conference that you guys have been attending?
First off, thank you for having me on the show. Realistically, this conference has been one of the biggest pluses is bringing mayors together who, regardless of what aisle you're on, or if you're not on the aisle at all and on the path on your own, we all can come together and discuss issues that affect every single community across this nation. I think that's been the biggest piece. As we're sitting here talking about things that are going on with our housing, our public safety, and our economy, and just climate overall, across the board, everyone can find some common ground and agreeables and get some best practices and some takeaways. So that's why I love coming to conferences like the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And this is the 93rd annual meeting here in Tampa. So it's always a great time to come and get refreshed and revitalized.
Yeah, and that's what part of what Mayor Hart was saying as well, is that you guys are, you come together with the objective being, let's share some ideas, some best practices, as you said, and how we can use those to strengthen. If one city strengthens, then another city has the opportunity to strengthen.
Exactly.
And you, with the village of Maywood, have really, since you were sworn in back in 2021, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So you've been at it for a little bit, and I know that being a neighboring community of the city of Chicago, you have a direct ally in Mayor Brandon Johnson, and you're part of this great leadership that I call what our governor and our lieutenant governor are doing, and we just had a segment with her a moment ago. What are some of the things you're able to do in terms of those allyships and bringing people or communicating with those other leaders to help with economic development, to help with strengthening the village of Maywood?
Sure. I think so Brandon Johnson, Mayor Johnson, was actually my Cook County commissioner for the 1st District before he became the mayor of Chicago. So that relationship had already been established. But I think being in the Chicago metropolitan area, some of the bigger pieces that we've been really able to work on for Maywood is regional projects. So as they look to what they're going to do with 290 projects and different things like that, on a state and city level and a county level, we've been able to partner to get work that we need done in Maywood, such as water sewer separation. Mm-hmm. We've been able to get some infrastructure dollars. We were just awarded in partnership with the 290 collaboration $90 million to focus on our First Avenue corridor. We're also working with Create Illinois for our underpass and our overpass. Working with Lieutenant Governor and working with Governor Pritzker, we just received funding in this last budget to get a grocery store open, and that grocery store, we've been a food desert for more than a decade. So getting those great things done from the county level in regards to our behavioral and positive intervention supports and multi-tiered support systems for our families. We have funded for 3 years after-school programming, summer programming, and just a multitude of resources. So I tell people all the time, people plus partnership equals possibility. Mm. And I think working on a state, city, and county level brings it all home. And Mayor Johnson will actually be speaking here at the conference tomorrow.
That's exciting. So I remember reading this. You were part of an effort. You're talking about the food desert, and I think about that in the space of health. But you were part of an effort to you launched was it Maywood Healthy Maywood, something like that. I apologize for not having it on the tip of my tongue, but help your boy walk through this one and for our listeners to better understand.
Let's go on a stroll. So So elements of a healthy community is what we call elements of a healthy Maywood, right? And elements of a healthy Maywood really are the elements that started from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services back in the 1970s. It's a part of the Healthy People campaign that comes out every decade with new metrics and new measurements. So right now we're focused on Healthy People 2030. The elements of a healthy community are 12 different elements that says if all 12 of these components are operating, whether it be, social services, social justice, social and cultural cohesion, or transportation, infrastructure, environment, public safety, educational opportunities, parks and recreation. If all of these pieces are working successfully in your community, you have all of the elements for a healthy community. And food access is truly one of those. We actually partnered with the the White House when President Biden was in place, where the focus was ending childhood hunger and building healthier communities. And we have a partnership with the Mayor's Alliance focused on ending childhood hunger. And that's truly what we've been focusing on as one of those 12 elements of food access.
That's really cool, and that's a great stroll to have gone on with you. One of our I guess I'll say guests, and one of the people that we really tried to reach out to is an organization here in Chicago. Well, it's a national organization, but the managing director here in Chicago of a group called Blessings in a Backpack. And one of the things that they do, if you're familiar with them, they make sure that on the weekends, on Friday, that kids in Chicago public schools don't go home hungry by putting together essentially a backpack filled with goodies and food being, one of those items. I got to figure out a way to get you guys connected, particularly with the Healthy Maywood initiative that you're a part of and that you have launched. Because at the end of the day, if our children are fed and they can study and they can be viable, then that just leads to better citizenry at large. So I'm going to see what we can do to try to bring you guys together in the near future. What else is on your docket and on your whiteboard? What's happening and what do you got planned? I know that with the conference you're busy, but what are some of the things as you're looking into this next cycle that you want to make sure that you're staying on top of?
Sure. I think the biggest piece that's on everybody's mind, and the big piece that we're talking about right now, is this artificial intelligence and how it's going to affect the government over the next decade. I think when we are looking at what's going on in whatever big bill, however you want to phrase it or call it, that's going on in Washington, D.C., whatever comes of that, how is that truly going to impact our local governments? We've already looked at some things that have taken place since the new administration started, and multiple communities such as myself have had to go back to our budgets, do some budget amendments, and relook at how we are addressing community, how we're addressing residents and infrastructure. So for me, our biggest pieces are what's going to happen in regards to those CDBG funds that they want to wipe out, right? What's going to happen with some of those public safety dollars that employ some of our police officers on a federal scale, and how will we find that $1 million in our budget if that gets taken out? Our children, our health are really the biggest piece, and housing. We have been awarded a lot of government funds over the past few years, and some of those projects, are taking 3 to 5 years to map out. And now that some language is being required to change, or some things are being challenged with the federal courts and the Supreme Courts, it's like, these were awards and commitments already made. If those things get drawn back, we got to go back to the drawing board of how we're mapping out this money. So really, conferences like this help map that out a little bit better, because we do have representatives from the White House here speaking to us to help better path what our future looks like.
Well, you're leaning into it, and that to me is one of the key elements. And you've not buried your head in the sand as it relates to the realities of what the federal administration is trying to do right now to local communities, particularly specifically Black communities, and more broadly communities of color and other marginalized communities. And by you take one item from a community, that's a block, that's one of the blocks in the system that supports that community. You take that away, it then has the domino, unfortunately, effect on other parts of the community. And I know you know this as an elected official. So we all appreciate you and the Mayor Harts of the world being focused on those items and making sure that that you're fighting forward and bringing some folks along with you. So two last questions / comments that I do with every guest. One of them is what you feel folks should be doing, need to be doing right now. There's so many people, Mayor Booker, that are like, I don't know what to do, Richard. I'm worried. I'm concerned. So one, that, and then secondly, how can folks get involved and be a part of what you're doing in the village of Maywood?
So I think when you talk about, and then thank you for those two questions, what should I be doing? I'm concerned. I think we have to stop walking in fear. There's nothing about this administration that's walking in fear, and energy has to match energy. And I feel like the fear and the concern that we're operating in versus the unity and coming together is truly what our strength is. There's so many opportunities to become more community engaged. And whether that be via virtual Zooms that are taking place in your communities, or whether those be in-person community meetings, we have multiple meetings throughout the months throughout the village of Maywood, and so do all the communities across this nation. We've got to stand up together, and nothing is done in a silo. So I tell people all the time, the dream work makes the team work is a real thing, and we've got to, as a community, as a country, come together more, and that will drive out the fear, that will drive out the hate, because there's power in numbers. And I think the other piece, when we're thinking of the things that we truly need to do as communities, what is our agenda and what is our game plan? So many times we've gone to social media or people just, give opinions, but what is the strategic plan? What is the critical path? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, where are those benchmarks that we're measuring based on what our community needs are and based on what will make our community better? Am I doing my part to help make my community better? And how are we measuring success? And I think once we truly get down to that piece and get the noise away from all of the drama that we're seeing play out, whether it be on social media or on the news, let's move the drama out the way and focus on what the goals are and how strategically can we move forward together. And that's my biggest piece. How do we move Maywood forward together? So I think everybody's focus should be, how do we move our communities forward together with the strategy and a critical path that we're focused on as a unit? And I think that's the biggest piece that we need to focus on, not the drama.
Yeah, good point. How can folks find you, Mayor Booker? How can they get involved, no matter where they are in the country, in helping this great little village neighboring Chicago continue to prosper?
Absolutely. So when we talk about the elements of a healthy Maywood, you can always go to Healthy Maywood WC, which is West Cook, because we're the West Cook County suburb, and the things that we do impact the entire region. So healthymaywoodwc.org. You can also always reach out to me on my Facebook at NathanielGeorgeBooker.com, facebook.com/NathanielGeorgeBooker.com. Or you can go to the Village of Maywood's website, maywood-il.gov, and see some great things that we have going on, and connect if you like, and come and join the fun.
Absolutely. Mayor Booker, thanks for being with us, and thank you for all the hard work that you're putting in and connecting with other mayors this week, and you all saying, okay, we can get this done if we do set that path, we stay on it, and we keep the drama out of the process. So
absolutely
keep up the fight. We will have you back sooner than later. We'll figure that all out. I know this was one of those ones where we said, yep, we can make it happen. He's available. We're available. Let's do this thing. So I appreciate you going on this short journey with me this morning.
No, it's my pleasure. Anytime you need me in the studio, I'm just a drive away.
Yes, you are. Thanks, Mayor Booker. Have a great day and a great weekend, okay?
All right. You as well. Take care.
Take care. Bye now. How about them apples, Karen? One of your neighbors.
I love it. I love it. I love the fact that he.
Yeah.
Well, we are not. We don't match the White House and the power, and that they're coming at us with fear. Right. We have to come back at them with power.
We have to energy. I wrote it down.
Energy.
Energy has to match energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so strong. Energy has to match energy.
And building alliances, building coalitions, coming together, because, you might have one community that's being deeply impacted, but we cannot forget that there's a whole bunch of communities that if we come together and we support one another, You know what I mean? That's how we get stuff done.
This is where I know for a fact, this is where Karen comes from and other people come from that are in this fight. We know that if there is a community or folks in a community that are struggling, then that community is at risk of others being in that same peril. And so I oftentimes have to tell myself to slow down and remember that there are people in communities, there are people in a particular community that may be looked over or overlooked. And we have to slow ourselves down. It's sort of, I used to use this phrase, we have to slow the train down every now and again and make sure we're gathering people on the train to prosperity, and not just monetary prosperity, but emotional prosperity, health prosperity, and all the rest. And I think if our party can take that visual and apply it, like Mayor Booker just said, then that is where we will get these wins. We'll continue to get these wins that we're seeing in some of these cities and states and districts that we're not quote supposed to win.
Right.
But doggone it, we are winning there, and it's part of that fight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, and I think that it's one of those things too, I think that we get it over here in our little bubble, that they want to say we're sitting in, that when you see a certain group struggling, when one group is struggling, we all are going to eventually struggle. It has a domino effect and it impacts all of us. You may think that, okay, well, I'm going to vote based off of these things that only affect me, that I see affect me directly. Yeah. But I think what people lose sight of is that when you vote for certain things that impact a community that maybe you're not a part of, it will impact you.
Right.
So the importance of funding public transportation, for, over COVID, we were apparently receiving a lot of federal tax dollars, and now those dollars are going away. And so there are some people, and I've heard them say, I don't ride public transportation, but what they're not understanding is, okay, you don't, but the essential workers do, the people that you rely on do.
And how about people, this really kind of expands this into another broader way of thinking. You may work for a company where 25% of the people that you work with take public transportation and get to work, and they may be more than just support staff. And
that's right.
They may be staff that you are that you report to.
Sure.
And so this is why, to Karen's point, and I know this gets into the weeds a little bit because my brain kind of has a condo there, but we have to be mindful of that kind of stuff. It's nuanced. But you said this, as so many other people said, Karen, after the election, about people who voted for certain things in their community, but they didn't give a damn about some of the national issues.
Sure.
And look where we are now.
Right. And even the support staff. I mean, these are the people that keep our economy churning.
Yeah.
All of the people that are out there doing the real work and working 2 and 3 jobs, they're keeping this economy afloat. And so you can
deny and think that it doesn't exist.
That I got mine. So,
right.
F you all. But the reality
she
is,
wanted to say it, y'all. She sure enough wanted to say it.
But we rely on each other, and it's just when we finally come to the realization as a nation as a whole that when one does well, we all do well.
Yep.
And so that is the reason that we need to come together and alliance
together.
And stay together.
And stay together. And see, listen, we have to stop letting, in my humble opinion, we have to stop letting the folk who want to detract and distract us get any space in our lives.
That's right.
And I like what the mayor said about managing the craziness of social media. That's a really, we have more time and we'll talk with him about it, and we probably will have him in studio. That's an incredibly important point. We do have to be mindful of the craziness that comes from not only mainstream but also social media.
Sure.
And how we do have to kind of bank that down and say that ain't reality, or it's not strong enough. It's not a strong enough conversation to be having right now. when we got these things over here that we got to navigate and be on top of.
Absolutely. We have to take the fight where it's going to be effective and not, you don't spend hours and hours, fighting against bots, potentially trolls, it's not worth it. Don't give them your time.
I just said to Karen, I have to discipline myself when I'm in the studio to not look at the computer of text messages because some people are trolls. And the algorithms are sophisticated as hell.
Yeah, they are.
That's the thing, y'all. So I want to clean up a little, not clean up, but just a reminder. Jennifer from Oak Lawn said, "Hey, Richard, that wasn't Hegseth." I knew.
I got that too.
Yeah, it wasn't Hegs. I knew it wasn't Hegseth. I knew that they were the clip that we played was of Scott Bessent and all the Democratic voices that were just coming at him, where he wouldn't answer the question and he kept interrupting. So I thank you, Jennifer, for that reminder. We were also talking about how Hegseth just wasn't capable of answering questions either, and how yesterday we played a clip regarding from Carbajal, who was getting after him about the deployment of our military resources. So
But, back to the point of building alliances and coming together. So if I can, before we wrap it this morning. So every Saturday, 10 to 12, 7500 Roosevelt Road in Forest Park.
Yep.
Out in front of the Taco Bell, Walter Mitchell, myself, and all of the people that want to join us. A lot of the shout out to the women's walking group. The many people that have been Suzanne and Karen Thomas, and then we had Larry come out. So we want more and more people to come out and support. And we have a new Facebook page. It's the People's Post Alliance Indivisible Group. And we are going to be out there every Saturday, unless there's some other big rally going on, 10 to 12 every Saturday. So come on out. It's fun.
There you go.
There are tacos. We got tacos right behind us.
And we're not talking about the taco in the White House.
No.
God, I know, right? Oh, boy. We almost put down that path, guys, of saying something. But, hey, I don't know if we have enough time. Do we have enough time to play the clip of the National Guard? What's our numbers on that? How much time do we? Let's play that one real quick, guys. This is a real important clip for you guys to check out as we wrap up today.
2 members of the National Guard, seen here, decided to accompany their mother to her Chicago immigration appointment.
We fear that she might get taken into custody. There's been reports of that. They get a text or an appointment. They have to come in, and they end up getting detained.
Well, 3 hours after arriving for her appointment, the mother left without incident, accompanied by her 2 sons in uniform.
Powerful stuff. What is that? Why is that important? It's important because these 2 young men stepped up for their mom in their National Guard uniforms, mind you. And it was a beautiful thing to see. They stood up for their mom. They know what's behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And they made it clear, we're going to be here for our mother. So children, be there for your parents, period. But in this particular space, this was a nice thing to see. And it goes back to what Karen was highlighting and that Mayor Booker was talking about, of the importance of community sticking up and standing up for one another and not staying in the silo, making sure that you are reaching out. And obviously these young guys are taking care of their mom. But I think that's our responsibility as progressives. It's also an opportunity. It's an opportunity to have that smile that you talked about and that both of the mayors talked about in terms of getting out.
It's important.
And being with people. Get with Karen Byrne, y'all. She is one of the co-founders of TruBlu Politics podcast and one hell of a real estate broker. So get with her, guys.
Yeah.
Henry, my man, has been riding with us all week. He and Devin made it happen. Lady B as well. Paul and all the rest of the team here at WCPT. Thanks to everybody for all the great work that you do. We could not do it without them. And I want to make sure to give them their shout out and their props and kudos today. All right, guys, the weekend's in front of you. Get out and enjoy yourself. Please be safe. Please stay healthy. Stay hydrated, but have a good time. Take a deep breath and make your life count. We will see you next week.
This is Tony Moray. I'm an estate planning lawyer who drafts living trusts and wills. Since the election, I've been hearing from my clients, many of them fellow WCPT listeners. And we all wonder, how did this happen and what can we do? The how is, of course, very complicated. My thoughts as regard to what we can do is simple but important. We need to take extra care of those we love. Having an estate plan using either a living trust or will can provide comfort in uncertain times like these. When the progressive values we hold dear are under attack, I feel we must make sure that our personal lives are secure and then work out from there. I've been drafting estate plans for my clients for over 30 years, and I will use all of that experience